These long queues of trucks loaded with sugarcane is business as usual in Lakhimpur Kheri, one of India's biggest sugarcane producing districts in Uttar Pradesh. Like many farmers in Lakhimpur, Sukhchain Singh grows sugarcane on nearly all of his 33 acres of land. Every day, he sends a truckload full of sugarcane to his nearby sugar mill.
वो पहले चीनी के यूज़ में खाली करना आता था, अब एथनॉल बनेगा, उसमें पेट्रोल में यूज़ होएगा, तो उसका ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा डिमांड इनको चाहिए। हमको भी लग रहा है कि उसका कहीं न कहीं आगे जाके कुछ जैसे गवर्नमेंट बार-बार हमसे कह रही है तो उसका पेमेंट में सुधार हो जाएगा या गन्ने के रेट बढ़ने के आसार हैं।
This growing emphasis on sugarcane cultivation is part of India's ambitious Ethanol Blended Petrol or EBP program. India, world's second largest sugarcane producer, has been consistently generating more sugar than it consumes. In 2003, the government started blending ethanol sourced from food crops like sugarcane with petrol. Ethanol used for blending can be sourced from fermenting and distilling sugarcane, maize, and rice produce. This blended petrol emits less carbon during combustion and hence is considered a green fuel. India aspires to achieve E20 or 20% blending of petrol with ethanol by 2025. However, this aspiration to achieve the E20 target comes with challenges.
Even though when we started the thrust on E20, we would foresee about 80% of the ethanol for fuel blending coming from sugarcane industry. But over time, even they've written that the role of grain is likely to go up. It has gone up. So today, close to 50% of the ethanol that got supplied in the current ASY came from maize.
When the ethanol blending policy was introduced in 2018, India had a surplus of sugarcane. By June 2020, India had already achieved 10% blending of fuel, largely relying on this sugar surplus. However, to meet E20, the country needed to move beyond sugar and sugarcane, leading to a growing dependence on maize, broken rice, and rice procured from the Food Corporation of India in the following years. This rapid diversion of food crops like maize and rice into fuel crops raises a question. Is India's ethanol blending program creating a food fuel conflict? Experts and industry people are divided on this.
Food cannot be replaced by fuel, at least in agriculture. Agriculture is primarily for food. In a country like India where the hunger index is high and the poor people are not getting proper adequate diet or adequate nutrition, so the first priority should be the food. And now I think what is I'm gathering from the EBP and the execution of the EBP program, now government has permitted to convert rice as well as maize, and then the other food stuff also. There is a 2 million ton of conversion of rice into the ethanol government permitted. So it is cruel to the poor population of India.
See, despite the macro level achievement of food security, whenever a country like India suffers from food inflation, where still 45% of what an average household consumes is spent on food, and if food becomes expensive, nutrition indicators do suffer. So nutrition, access to affordable food will continue to be priority for the country, and rightly so.
India currently cultivates sugarcane on more than 5.9 million hectares of land. To achieve 20% ethanol blending, the country needs over 10.2 billion liters of ethanol annually. This requires producing 11 to 12 million tons of grains, that is maize and rice, 275 million tons of sugarcane, and 7.1 million hectares of land. This means land equal to gross crop area of the state of Bihar. But where will this ethanol and the required land come from? Agricultural economists suggest that increasing yields and more reliance on maize would be the solution.
Under hybrid, we are studied to understand that from 3.5, very easily the yields can go up to 5.5, 6 tons per hectare. Currently, the area under hybrid seeds is only about 55%. Once this goes up, we should be able to create surpluses, and therefore yields continue to be that one center pivot the country has to work on if we have to achieve food, feed, and fuel security in future.
But these high-yielding varieties come at a cost. These need more water, pesticides, and fertilizers, making the process of cultivation more water-intensive. Already, around 60% of the irrigation water across India is used up by just two crops, rice and sugarcane, both part of the EBP.
पहले सन 2012-13 में फैक्ट्री ने हमको 0238 गन्ना की सीड हमको इधर प्राप्त करवाया था, थोड़ा थोड़ा सारे किसानों को। तो हम लोगों ने वो जब गन्ने का बीज बोया तो उसने काफ़ी हाई यील्ड दी। फिर हम लोगों ने लगभग सारा गन्ना ही वही ऑटो में अगर बुआई करते थे फिर भी 0238 की, और अगर मिड में आके फरवरी साइड फिर भी वही, अगर गेहूँ काट के भी तो फिर भी वही। उसकी यील्ड बहुत अच्छी थी और वो एक उसमें रोग भी बहुत कम था गन्ने में। ये कह लीजिए कि वो किसानों के लिए एक वरदान था। उस वैरायटी में एक तो दवा भी कम यूज़ होती थी, फर्टिलाइज़र भी कम यूज़ करने पड़ते, पानी भी कम लगता था। पर जो आज की वैरायटी हैं इसमें पानी भी ज़्यादा लगते हैं, फर्टिलाइज़र भी ज़्यादा हैं और इसमें रोग भी ज़्यादा हैं। हम लोग को स्प्रे वगैरह बहुत ज़्यादा करनी पड़ती, फंगस के अटैक बहुत आते हैं। जैसे जैसे मौसम चेंज होता है अलग अलग स्प्रे हमको यूज़ करनी पड़ती दवाएँ, जिससे किसान को काफ़ी नुकसान झेलना पड़ रहा है।
However, industrialist Rakesh Tyagi believes that with the government's policy control, a conflict between food and fuel is unlikely.
लेकिन पिछले 2 सालों के अंदर हम कहाँ गए? राइस, चावल। उसके आगे फिर बढ़े उन इलाके में जहाँ पर मेज़, झारखंड, छत्तीसगढ़, मध्य प्रदेश, जहाँ पर मक्का वगैरह बहुत होती है। अब वहाँ पर इथेनॉल प्लांट लगा दिए। वहाँ शुगर मिल नहीं है, इथेनॉल प्लांट है और गवर्नमेंट के हाथ में पॉलिसी है। जैसे जैसे किसान का पैदावार बढ़ेगा वो कंज्यूम चला जाएगा इथेनॉल में। जैसे जैसे किसान की पैदावार किसी वजह से मतलब डिप कर गई तो इथेनॉल इंडस्ट्री को सप्लाई उतनी कम हो जाएगी, मतलब जो अपना इंटरनल फूड रिक्वायरमेंट है उसके ऊपर ही इथेनॉल बनाएंगे।
Experts believe that balancing crop use for food and fuel will require careful planning, especially if crop yields don't improve significantly.
So what we clearly sense is that country for one will have to evaluate that there is a trade-off, and unless yields respond aggressively, the trade-off is likely to persist and maybe deepen going forward. You cannot chop off one arm to feed the other.